This is CBC Here and Now.
How can I get a chance to come back? Will there be seats available? And there was no guarantee that I was going to be able to even apply, let alone be accepted.
This new stream will account for 5 seats at the university every year, but the Premier says that will add up and make a difference in the healthcare system.
So there's a dedicated stream for people who have done their medical degree somewhere else.
I'll bring you more information coming up on Here and Now.
Just walking off the field, I looked up and all the moms are like, women in general were just like screaming out, "Go Jada," and a few had signs and stuff. It was pretty cute.
It's been a whirlwind few days for St. John's baseball player Jada Lee. Now back on her home field, she's telling us about the experience of a lifetime. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. MUN's medical school has a plan to lure some doctors from this province back home, making it easier for foreign-trained students to return for their residency. Here and Now's Garrett Berry has that story.
This would have been a massive deal.
For students like Dr. Michaela Murphy, this new program would have made a world of difference.
When I was applying, I was, emailing Dr. Daw years in advance. That's our program director, asking, how can I get a chance to come back? Will there be seats available? And there was no guarantee that I was going to be able to even apply, let alone be accepted.
Starting next summer, there will be 5 reserved spots for students who've trained outside North America but want to come back to this province for a family medicine residency.
I had other Newfoundlanders who were in Ireland with me who wanted to come home and weren't able to match the spots here, and this would mean that those people would, and they would be able to come home and practice here.
Right now, those students basically have to sit out around to see what spots go unfilled before they can apply. This new effort will make their journey a lot simpler.
I can't understate how complex it is to get a degree in the UK, just say, or in the Caribbean, and then try to create a path to residency and then to practice in Canada and in Newfoundland and Labrador in particular. So if you're a first-year medical student, just say now in one of these, in a medical school abroad, you have this 5 seats with certainty.
There's all kinds of competition for these international medical graduates. Just about every province in the country wants to get their hands on these doctors. But Premier Fury says there'll be a special focus here on Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that might want to come back home.
As we've said here before in this very room, that if you're from here and you're trained here, you're more likely to stay here. Case in point.
These seats are brand new, meaning an extra 5 medical students in the system.
And I have said many times, there's no quick solution, there's no magic bullet, there's no one pill to swallow that's going to fix everything. But, taken in chunks like this, this is part of the solution, a holistic solution.
Another part in the government's multi-point plan to try to stem severe doctor shortages.
I think any announcement that is lined up to address our health concerns here in the province is a good announcement. But you still have to look at it for what it is. It is 5 seats. It's 5 seats that don't guarantee that we'll have 5 staying here.
Garrett Berry, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, staffing shortages continue this week at emergency rooms in the province. The U.S. Memorial Health Center in St. Lawrence will be closed starting tomorrow morning and will reopen on Friday. Anyone with an emergency should call 911, go to the Buren Healthcare Center, or head to the clinic in Grand Bank. Meanwhile, the emergency room at the health center in Whitburn is closed today and will remain closed until Monday. Again, anyone with an emergency should call 911 or head to an ER in Carbonear, Placentia, or St. John's. Well, the provincial fire ban ends tonight at midnight. It was brought in while crews were battling the Central Forest fires. Those fires are still burning, but crews have gotten a better handle on them thanks to favorable weather conditions and to the added out-of-province personnel now on the ground. A week ahead of the German Chancellor's visit to Stephenville, people on the West Coast are questioning the merits of wind power. The province ordered an environmental impact statement earlier this month on a proposed wind development for the Port-au-Port Peninsula. It would be the first of its kind in Canada, but as Troy Turner reports, there are still plenty of questions about that plan.
The Port-au-Port Peninsula is the site of the first phase. The plan by World Energy GH2 involves 164 massive wind turbines to be built on the sparsely populated peninsula. The following stages will expand to other areas of western Newfoundland.
It's kind of symbolic today, isn't it, that it's overcast. There's a cloud hanging over the mountains in more ways than one.
The International Appalachian Trail is not the only entity who has concerns. People on the Port-au-Port Peninsula are divided. A postdoctoral research scholar at Dalhousie University understands why.
I'm not opposed to wind energy development. I'm not opposed to green hydrogen, specifically to decarbonize hard to decarbonize sectors, but I think we need to take the rights, the priorities, and the knowledge systems of community members very seriously when it comes to these types of initiatives.
Mercer says as the country transitions away from fossil fuels, a clear path is needed in every province.
And when I see these large-scale proposals come through, I wonder where it fits in to this puzzle. We need to be working to a goal. We need to understand how it's going to reach our target. And Newfoundland and Labrador hasn't given me enough proof yet of where this fits into that puzzle.
While the Port-au-Port proposal undergoes an economic impact statement with the province, the feds are using it as a backdrop for their upcoming announcement with Germany. The timing is a little suspect for some.
It would seem, even though the minister, is decided on an environmental impact statement, it would seem as though that's basically going to be a rubber stamp because, again, it's pretty high profile. You have the Chancellor coming here, and so it doesn't seem like they're going to go through all those motions just to eventually turn them down. It could be quite embarrassing to both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor.
Weisel says before any energy agreements are signed with another country and before the project is given the go-ahead, he'd like to see more information, not just from the environmental impact statement, but of the economic benefits as well. Troy Turner, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, a beautiful day up across the Big Land today. Nothing but sunshine thanks to a big ridge of high pressure. We do have a ridge of high pressure affecting the island as well, but a bunch of showers moving in, and that's thanks to an area of low pressure just to the south. That is going to continue to be our weather maker tonight and as we head through the day tomorrow as well. But if we take a look at what's going on right now, some showers showing up, 15 degrees in St. John's. Humidex not nearly as humid as it has been for the last couple of days. Only 18 with those winds out of the east-northeast around 20 kilometers per hour. And that's the reason for these cooler temperatures. It's exactly where those winds are. We topped out at about 18 degrees today, but you can see northeasterlies or easterlies today, keeping those temperatures into the low teens. Humidex values topping out at about 22 earlier today. So this pattern is generally going to continue with a couple of ridges of high pressure. By the time we get into Friday, that's when we'll start to see that change. Temperatures will warm up quite nicely. I'll get into those details when I come back.
Memorial University says masks will be required during classes and labs on campus this fall. Starting in September, they must be worn in classrooms, the Student Wellness and Counseling Center, health services at Grenfell campus, and in COVID testing areas. Masks are also strongly recommended in all public spaces, offices, at events, and in meetings. Free masks will be available throughout the university. MUN says it will review that requirement each month. Well, the St. John's Status of Women Council is calling for equal pay in this province and wants it to be legislated. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm has more on a new report and the response it's getting from government.
We really see this as an opportunity to contribute to some of the public conversation that's been happening around pay equity, and more specifically, what proactive pay equity legislation could look like here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Newfoundland and Labrador is one of 4 provinces in the country, the only one in Atlantic Canada without pay equity legislation. In August 2021, the Pay Equity Act came into effect for federally regulated public and private employees. In 2017, a private member's bill asked to introduce legislation in this province, equal pay for equal work. It received unanimous support, but hasn't been enacted.
I want to be really clear in saying that the province has had ample opportunity over the last number of decades to really get this right, but that hasn't happened yet.
The report says women across Canada working part and full-time earn an average 32% less than men, even up to 55% less if they're Indigenous, immigrants, or live with a disability. Newfoundland and Labrador has one of the widest gender pay gaps, along with BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan.
There's a trend between provinces and territories that have enacted proactive pay equity legislation and the gender wage gap.
At a press conference this afternoon, Premier Andrew Furey said legislation is on the agenda.
It's a priority for us, and we are pushing forward with something in the fall. That's the soonest the legislative agenda allows. And we hope it's a piece of progressive legislation that we can all be proud of.
The Minister of Women and Gender Equality, Pam Parsons, is less outspoken about the issue. Parsons declined an interview request by CBC News, instead providing a statement that said her office met with the Status of Women Council last week. We thank them for contributing to the pay equity conversation. Officials are currently reviewing the report that was released yesterday. The statement goes on to say the province will follow the normal process should it introduce any legislation. Quote, "There is nothing further to provide right now." In past interviews, Minister Parsons has said legislation isn't a silver bullet that will solve the problem.
Pay equity legislation certainly isn't the only thing that will affect both the wage gap, but also kind of equal participation and socioeconomic equity in general. But we are also listening to national and international experts on socioeconomic equity who say that we can't achieve equity in the workforce without legislation like this.
The St. John's Status of Women Council wants legislation that will include both public and private sectors and funded oversight bodies to ensure there's accountability for provincial employers. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, what a week for Jada Lee. The athlete is breaking barriers by becoming the first female to play on a male Canada Games baseball team. She also got to rub elbows with major leaguers when she threw out the first pitch at a Toronto Blue Jays game on Saturday. And fresh off her return home, our Danny Arsenault caught up with Jada and her dad down at St. Pat's Ball Field this morning.
From St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, please welcome 16-year-old pitcher Jada Lee.
It was a good experience walking out there and hearing everyone cheering and looking up and seeing the stands all full and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Oh, it was surreal. You know, I've been at lots of Jays games, and I mean, you feel the electricity in the building, but pretty unreal seeing your daughter out there on the field. Then she actually threw a real pitch, and you could see the surprise on the Zimmer when he caught it.
Springer told me I throw hard, and Zimmer was said I caught him off guard, whatever. I was hoping to talk to Vladdy, but I did not get a chance to, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's great to see that our hard work has paid off, right? We have 3 children, and you know, most sports, it's not that they didn't like being there, but it was kind of hard to get them there. And she was up, ready to go. She was forcing us to the field. She's always been dedicated and worked hard. So it's nice to see, you know, if someone sticks with a sport and works hard, that they will achieve it, right?
How did it go, the Canada Games?
It was okay. I had one good inning, but it was really exhilarating, and I was definitely nervous walking out there. But once I was out there, it was like any other game, honestly. But hearing the crowd start cheering and stuff, and I looked up and my parents are up there, my friends' parents are up there. It's pretty cool, and it's definitely a good experience. There's a lot of younger girls that came to watch our games and stuff, and afterwards asked for a picture, a signature, or something like that. And I was talking to a few of them. One of them bought me candy, and the moms were all really sweet. I walked out of the dugout once to go to the bathroom, and I had to get 15 selfies with some moms. So it was kind of funny, a bit cute, but yeah. When I was walking off the field, I looked up and all the moms are women in general were just screaming out, "Go Jada," and a few had signs and stuff. It was pretty cute. They were all cheering for me. Their sons were not so happy about it, but yeah, all the parents really were cheering for me.
The ball that you threw, the first pitch, is going into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. How's that feeling like?
It's definitely a big honor, and it's I was a bit struck by surprise when I heard it. I thought they were joking, but it's definitely cool. It's a pretty big honor, yeah.
You know, the significance of it didn't really hit me till we were there, and now the fact, thinking that, you know, Jada will be able to bring her children up there and show them what she's done is pretty neat. Me and my wife were very proud, as well as our family, and it seemed like everyone in Newfoundland.
Oh, just fabulous. Well, it's opening night for Stolen Sisters, a play about the Beothuk. Now, it's believed to be one of the first theatrical works about the Indigenous group written by an Indigenous playwright, and where it's being staged also holds significance.
This play is a retelling of Newfoundland Indigenous history from a different perspective, from the perspective of Beothuk women who were subject to colonial violence in a lot of cases. We don't always hear their stories, and I wanted to bring those to the forefront and kind of give these women a voice.
I'm going through a lot of emotions doing this work, because as an Indigenous woman from Newfoundland and Labrador, I feel a responsibility to carry these stories and share these voices. It's difficult, it's hard, it's painful, and it is uncomfortable, but I think it's important for people to witness it so that we can move forward together.
It was really a big part of my own reconciliation journey and healing all of the traumas, I guess generational and otherwise, that came with my own indigeneity and figuring out what that meant.
Who are your people? My people are Oceana, and they named me Ube.
To be Indigenous in Newfoundland can be somewhat fraught with politics and misunderstanding. So I really wanted to have a record of indigeneity from an Indigenous point of view that could be accessible to all.
I can think of no better place in this province for this play to be staged other than here at the Heart Garden in front of Government House. This is a place that was created to encourage people to think about the truth of our history, to think about the truth of Indigenous history, and to reconcile with that.
It's consistent wherever she is.
When we started rehearsing here, it felt different. It felt more meaningful to be out here on the land in this garden that was created with such beautiful intention and spirit.
I want to make people feel things, maybe that they didn't feel before. And mostly I'd like to make people curious. I'd like for people to come away from it with the desire to seek out more information on their own and to look deeper at the topic, because our education system unfortunately doesn't cover all aspects of Newfoundland's colonial history. So it's there, but you have to dig for it. And the more people who go looking for it, the more widely disseminated it becomes.
And once again, Stolen Sisters opens tonight at the Heart Garden on the grounds of Government House in St. John's. It runs until August 28th. Tickets are available on the Persistence Theatre website, which is persistencetheatre.com.
Well, it's a beautiful evening on the Northern Peninsula. Lots of sunshine. This will continue. I will get into the full forecast details when I come back.
This is George Martin.
Hi.
Hi. He has severe Parkinson's disease, but you would never know it by looking at him, and it's all thanks to a new technology, implants in his brain controlled by this device. We'll tell you all about this life-changing surgery coming up. Time for a look at the weather, and quite the difference today compared to yesterday in terms of the heat and the humidity. It really cooled down today.
Crazy what a wind shift can do, for sure. And other areas in the province are seeing the same thing as, you know, warm temperatures and then the drop as soon as those wind shift. But let's take a look at the temperatures out there today. High of 18 degrees in St. John's. That is, I think it was 26 yesterday. So quite a bit of a change as you head through Central though, 23, 24 degrees. And then towards the coast, well, Deer Lake, 27 degrees today, 26 in Stephenville. And we've got those temperatures into the 20s as well. A beautiful afternoon up across the Big Land, 24 degrees. In Happy Valley Goose Bay today, a little cooler in Cartwright at 18, but still a pretty beautiful day. Now, not a whole lot of humidity to speak of for you. Actually, in fact, there's nothing up across the Big Land. But if we start talking about humidex values, feeling more like 29 in Deer Lake and 28 right now in Corner Brook. The highest is in Stephenville, about 31 is what it's feeling like. And again, it's because of where the dew point is sitting. So we've got dew points in the single digits up across the Big Land and then into the teens, high teens, in fact, well, 16 degrees for Corner Brook and 16 in Stephenville. So what is dew point? I know I talk about it a lot, but what it is, the actual definition of dew point is the temperature of the air needs to be cool to reach saturation. So where there's no more room for humidity. So that correlates to the humidity in the air, because when you start talking about lower dew points, it feels comfortable. There's, you know, a lot more room for the temperature or for moisture to move in. But when you start talking about 16 to 20, that's when you start really feeling humid. So there's not much room for that humid air, or the moisture rather, to be in the air. So that's why it starts to feel a lot more uncomfortable. So we are going to see these humidex values return as we head through the end of the week, but right now we're going to talk about some much drier air, particularly up across the Big Land, and that's thanks to this ridge of high pressure. We do have some showers working their way across eastern areas of the island as we speak, and again, the reason for that is an area of low pressure to the south. So that's going to work its way further north as we head through the night tonight. Showers possible for the Burin Peninsula, basically the northern Avalon. This may shift a little bit, but at this point, that's what it's looking like. And then by the time we get into the early morning hours, that shower activity along the south coast, you're still going to see the chance of drizzle through the overnight and some fog patches as well, but more steady showers expected as we get into the morning hours. Not a whole lot happening up across Labrador thanks to that ridge of high pressure, relatively light winds. Temperatures moderating, not too bad, between 10 to 14 degrees through the overnight. Cooler, 10 to 11. Maybe a bit more than that for central and the west coast, but temperatures warmer the further east you go. About 15 degrees will be the overnight low tonight in St. John's. Now, as we head through tomorrow, things will get a bit more unsettled. Northern Peninsula, Labrador, you're going to stay out of this. You may see some increase in cloud across the Northern Peninsula, but overall, most of the island will be seeing that shower activity, or at least the potential for some shower activity. In fact, eastern areas of the island may even see some periods of rain, which may be heavy at times through the day on Wednesday as well. Other than that, that's where we should see the majority of the showers, maybe some more showers moving in through the overnight and into Thursday morning. Because we're staying in that easterly flow, the winds will stay around, or because we're staying in that easterly flow, the temperatures will stay fairly cool tomorrow. About 20 to 40 kilometer per hour winds, 17 degrees in St. John's. Clarenville, Bonavista around 18 or 19, same thing for the Burin Peninsula. Again, some showers on tap for you. As we head towards central, a little bit more sunshine in play, 22, 23 degrees through the afternoon, 19 in Harbour Breton. Again, you'll see those showers move in through the day. The warmest temperatures will be found on the west coast, Humber Valley, Stephenville, Corner Brook, even Grossmore, and seeing those temperatures into the mid to high 20s with those winds out of the east between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. That's allowing those temperatures to stay quite warm. Another beautiful day expected for the Northern Peninsula, southeastern portions of Labrador as well, under relatively light winds. Another 27-degree day for Mary's Harbour, and then same thing, Happy Valley Goose Bay. You should reach that temperature as well. Now, we're going to stay quite warm, or you're going to stay quite warm up across the Big Land as well, although things will get a bit more unsettled as we head through the weekend, and I'll break that forecast down for you when I come back.
So if I go down, 4, see his arms start to shake?
turning off his tremors at the touch of a button. Meet the first man in Canada to receive this life-changing treatment. A 68-year-old Mount Pearl man with severe Parkinson's disease is the first person in Canada to receive a life-changing treatment. Electrodes inserted in George Martin's brain can be controlled by a handheld device remotely. It essentially turns off his tremors so he can live a normal life. I met up with him and his fiancée Sandy, who also happens to be his childhood sweetheart, at their campsite in Brigus Junction. We talk about the dramatic turn his life has taken and see this piece of technology in action.
Who takes who for a walk? I've had Parkinson's for 16 years. It started off with the thumb shaking at work. I sold cars for a living, last going off at Kia. And finally it got so bad, you get more nervous with the customer coming in.
Come on, babies.
So I was 54 years old, sorry, when I retired. Believe it or not, I had cancer at the same time. And I was more worried about the cancer than I was the Parkinson's. Parkinson's is not life-threatening, but I got over the cancer, so I was relieved in a way. But Parkinson's disease, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Not my worst enemy. Because it progresses so hard and bad. It went from my thumb to my arm, to my leg, over to the right side. Finally, the shakes were getting so bad that I didn't know what I was going to do. So my specialist doctor said she couldn't do anything more for me. So the operation was the only thing that was left. So they operated on me November the 15th. I was discharged the same day, and I went back to my sister's in Toronto. I have 57 stitches in my forehead, or staples. What they did was put an implant in, they call it a generator. It's right here in my chest. If I didn't have a shirt on, you could see it.
It's right under the skin, yeah.
And that sends impulses up to the brain, or electrical current, to part of the brain that's not working. They put an electrode in here and an electrode in there. And shakes just stopped.
It's a miracle.
And they gave me an iPad to go home with that I can control how much impulses sent from here to there by myself.
Yep. I can turn them on and turn them off. Like a little while ago, his right hand started to shake a bit. And so he said, well, maybe I'll turn it up a little bit. So he'll turn it up like half a notch, we call it, because it goes up in 0.5 increments, right? Like, I'm a real nerd. So like, this is fascinating to me.
Digital care allows you to go beyond the
And then when he has the appointment with the doctors, like to update the software, they can do that virtually. You know, just like you're in a Zoom meeting. It's wicked.
Connect to his brain.
Yeah. When they updated the software, you forget how bad it was. Because I know when they updated the software on the computer, they had to turn it off first. I mean, 1 minute George is sitting there like he is now, and the next, I mean, everything just starts. The leg goes, the hand goes, like everything just goes. And then they turn it up again, and he's like he is now. He just stops. Well, he can turn the machine down, and he'll start to shake and turn it up again. Okay, so this is the Apple iPod that controls electrical impulses to control George's Parkinson's. And so say if I went to side 1, which is his left side, so right now he's pretty still there. You want me to do this?
Turn it off.
So if I go down, see his arm start to shake?
Okay, turn it up again.
It's starting to get bad now, isn't it? Yeah. So now you can see. So hang on now. I can only go so fast. And you'll see now his arm will start to settle down. You were at 5.25?
5.5.
Oh. You were higher than that.
That's good.
There you go.
George, what was that like?
Oh, bad. Brings back memories. It's like the vein is going to pop out in the arm. And if I got pain, it's right here, which I did. That amazes me still. For her to turn it off.
And how bad it gets.
Well, George, I appreciate you putting yourself through that just then to show us what happens, because it clearly is not, it's clearly a very unpleasant thing to have to do. So I appreciate you showing us.
Well, I thank you for coming all the way up from St. John's to our campsite. Thank you so much. And I hope if there's anybody out there that would like to talk to me, by all means.
To me, the hope that it would bring to people with Parkinson's, especially here, I mean, people in rural Newfoundland, they'd have to go away for the surgery and maybe one trip for follow-up, but that's it.
It's given me my life back. I can drive again, I can dance again, I can go into restaurants without being nervous that I'm going to fall. I can walk the dogs again. As you see, we have four dogs. This guy got a special place in my heart. He's seen me through a lot. And to walk him every day that I can is fantastic. It's the little things you don't think about.
Yeah, it's true. Cutting up your steak.
Yes. I used to have get somebody else cut up my steak for me. Now I do it myself. Doing up my buttons on my shirt. I couldn't do it. So I had to go down and get somebody to button up my shirt for me. Even pulling up my zipper at times. And I hate to be out somewhere and have to go to the bathroom. Get in the bathroom and can't get the jeans undone. Top button the jeans. So lots of little things like that. That now is just gone. Where we are right now is new life with a fairly
New partner.
new partner.
New old.
New old, that's right. As I mentioned, she mentioned earlier, she's my childhood sweetheart. And there are times I know that I can be hard to live with. And she's put up with me for 2 years.
Well, that's a two-way street.
To just start traveling again. Start being with other people again, like we are here with everybody.
Come on, let the puppies.
It's been the most profound experience of my life so far. Forgiving is just something for the other person. Like, forgiving was equally for me.
Scott Jones was leaving a bar in Nova Scotia when he was stabbed in the back. His story garnered international attention, not only for its brutality, but also for Scott's early decision to forgive his attacker. His story is now a play. It's coming up.
I'm Zach Gowdy, and we're at Waterford Valley High in St. John's, where a new play is in rehearsals from Newfoundland and Labrador's own powerhouse theater company, Artistic Fraud. Now, this show is called I Forgive You, and it's based on the life of Scott Jones. But it's not just about Scott. Scott is here, part of the show, at center stage.
Hello, I'm Scott Jones. I'm originally from Nova Scotia, and I am the co-writer of I Forgive You, and it is a story based on my life and my experience with trauma in relation to a homophobic attack. And I'm also the conductor, performance conductor for the piece. It's been the most profound experience of my life so far, yeah. The show is rooted in this exploration, rumination of what it means to forgive someone, and in relation to the homophobic attack that took place in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. A man stabbed me in the back, and one of those stab wounds went through my spine and it paralyzed me. And 8 months later was the sentencing, and I chose to forgive him. And it was a really powerful and important moment in my life, and one that I don't regret. And there's just a lot that comes with that over time. And so this play kind of is an exploration of what that path of forgiveness is. But it's not just around that moment in my life. It's there's moments from my whole life.
Hi, I'm Robert Chafe. I'm the Artistic Director of Artistic Fraud of Newfoundland and the co-writer of I Forgive You. We only take on projects that are really deeply meaningful for us and worth that incredible investment in time and energy and emotion and love. Scott would move from being someone that we were interested in as a subject matter to being a really, really close personal friend. Myself and Jill and Kelly and Christopher and the others working on this show, I think, in the most beautiful way, have become part of Scott's journey, and that is huge and means a lot and holds a lot of responsibility.
I'd met Robert one-on-one, and I had no idea what to expect, and I was really worried. And he came over to my apartment when I was in Toronto, and we just hit it off. It was like a really great, we just dove in deep right away, and you know, there's not many people that you can do that with. And so the process kind of like unfolded just as it did. And we started out thinking it would be one thing and ending up with a completely different thing. And it's always kind of, for me, been this like amorphous blob of like text.
I collected with Scott, I can't tell you how many hours of tape. It did transcribe down to, I think it was a little over 300 pages of text when we transcribed it all down.
Robert, I've learned so much in terms of storytelling and how to tell narratives in ways that are evocative and profound. A lot, happened in those first 8 months of my life after the attack. Forgiving isn't just something for the other person. Like forgiving was equally for me, and realizing I needed to say these words in order to let go. I'm not the poster boy, man for forgiveness. Like, I still have trouble forgiving people for little things in my life. And so this question of like, how I was able to do that, like most of this I've never told to anyone. So yeah, I think people might be surprised. I told my family, I was like, yeah, just get ready to like be cracked open and like have someone reach into your heart, like grab it out, smash it against the wall.
The Hall has been a community hub in Marystown for more than 100 years. Now the non-religious center is up for sale. Tomorrow on the St. John's Morning Show, the future of St. Gabriel's. And on Labrador Morning, an eating disorder awareness advocate says the province's sugar tax may have a negative impact rather than help create healthy habits. That's on tomorrow's show. Today marks 45 years since the death of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. He died of a heart attack at his Memphis home. Presley was just 42 years old. Back in the 90s, our colleagues at CBC Nova Scotia spoke with some die-hard fans, including a fanatic memorabilia collector and an Elvis impersonator. Here's why they believe the king's legacy will never die.
It's miles from Las Vegas, but inside the Old Mill pub, the magic of Elvis is in the air. Like thousands of other Elvis impersonators around the world, Wayne Fisher says he's just trying to keep the music and memories going.
Elvis was a great entertainer, and the only way that you're going to keep Elvis alive is by going out and doing a show like the way Elvis did it, close as possible is what you can possibly do. And if people are going to like you, they're going to like you. And if people aren't going to like you, you're going to find out real quick.
Whether you're a fan of the man and his music or not, it's hard to deny the power of Elvis or ignore the devotion of his fans.
I first saw Elvis in 1956 on the Tommy Dorsey show, and I was fascinated by him. The movements of the man. He moved differently than anyone I'd ever seen before. The first Elvis convention I attended was in Niagara Falls in Canada. That was a birthday party. And I flew for the first time in my life, and I was terrified. Terrified. I just gripped the seat all the time I was on that plane. But I did it for Elvis. That was a very exciting time. That was a happy time. You know, birthday party and birthday cakes and Elvis fans and dancing and singing. It was marvelous. Well, I've been collecting for a long time, and anything Elvis I appreciate. But I don't like tacky things. They have a lot of tacky things on the go, but I like his pictures. I like the plates.
If you put Elvis on a license plate, you're going to sell it tomorrow. People are going to take it. It doesn't matter. The people are just so in love with Elvis. The date of his death when he died, everyone goes to Graceland. He's not there. Well, he is, but he's not, but they still go. Vegas, you know, people are getting married by Elvis Presley impersonators. Well, you know, it's just one big thing. People don't want to let go. And as long as there's people like me around to put a show on for them, we're not going to let go. We're just going to carry it on.
Well, before we get to the forecast, many of us have been looking for ways to cool off this summer. Some have caved, finally bought that air conditioner.
Yes, like you, yeah. Others are coming up with more creative solutions. A woman in Dartmouth decided to go the non-traditional route for her backyard pool. Danielle Edwards explains.
When you think of a boat, you usually think of it being on the water, but Olivia Kendall put a twist on it. The centerpiece of her backyard is the unusual pool she's recently finished building in the cockpit of an old motorboat.
I had gotten a quote for a stock tank pool, and it was just a little bit out of my budget range, quite a bit out of my budget range, actually.
Though she originally wanted to use a round galvanized steel tank in her backyard, she was discouraged by the high prices. It was only after coming across a chance listing that she started to look at other options.
I started thinking about what other type of container could hold water for a pool. And so I started looking around Facebook Marketplace, and something immediately popped up, and it was this boat listed for $300. And I figured if water can stay out of a boat, maybe it could be trapped in a boat.
The boat is an old Mercury model runabout made by the Chestnut Canoe Company, which was once based in Fredericton. Once she got the boat, the next step was getting it leveled. Then more pool equipment, also from Facebook Marketplace, including a pool pump, sand filter, a saltwater chlorinator, and of course, a place to put cold drinks for herself and her 3-year-old daughter Adele. Kendall says Adele and other kids in the neighborhood are big fans of the project.
And I heard it was going to be a really hot summer, and it was really important to get something going. She goes in it almost every day. If it's not raining, and if we have time, she's in there for sure. I've been able to get in a couple times myself as well.
After about a month of work, Kendall is looking forward to spending more time in the boat with her daughter for the rest of the summer.
Kendall says now that she's done the pool, she's going to spruce up the area a bit. That's going to include painting, lights, and adding some landscaping to the hull of the boat. Danielle Edwards, CBC News, Dartmouth.
That is so cool.
That's yeah. I've never seen anything like that. I thought that was great.
Very creative and solid logic there. If the water can stay out of the boat, then it'll probably stay in the boat, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there swimming pool weather coming for anyone in the province?
Yeah, certainly up across Labrador. Still seeing those temperatures into the 20s. You're definitely going to want a backyard pool for sure through the next couple of days. But let's take a look at the future tracker. It is going to be a bit more unsettled, though, across the island. Certainly as we head through Thursday, most of us will be seeing those showers, and those clouds will be on the increase as well up across the Big Land after a couple of days of sunshine sunshine. You should hang or hold off on the rain though through the day on Thursday. Temperature is still around 26 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 23 in Lab City, same thing across Nain, and then Cartwright around 22. Now temperatures across the island will be a bit cooler than that. Teens the story for the northern peninsula. West coast into the 20s, same thing through central, about 19 or 20 degrees, and then similar forecast as far as eastern Newfoundland is concerned through the afternoon. Now the winds are still going to stay easterly. That will eventually change as we get into Friday, and that's because this area of low pressure will change those winds for us, and that's going to allow some more humid air to move back in again. Unfortunately, staying a bit unsettled again through the day on Friday. We'll probably see still a few peaks of sun in the mix. I don't think it'll be overly cloudy all across the province, or rather all across the island, but still a bit unsettled. Now this is when we're going to start to talk about the potential for a few showers up across the Big Land, particularly southeastern areas, and temperatures will be a bit cooler for you. Around 14 degrees along the Strait, St. Anthony 15, but those temperatures for the rest of the Big Land, or at least most of the Big Land really, should be back down, still above seasonal, but back down from where we've been sitting for a good chunk of the week. 23 degrees in Lab City and 18 in Cartwright. Now, like I said, chance of showers, still going to keep that sun potential in the mix as well across the island. Temperatures between 21 and 25. The warmest will be through central. Taking a look at the long range forecast, temperatures stay in the 20s. Things get a bit better as we head through the end of the weekend. Sunday at this point looking beautiful, 20 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. For central Newfoundland, you're looking at a pretty nice end to the weekend as well. A little bit more unsettled though for you in western Newfoundland, between 22 and 25 degrees. And then for the for the eastern portion of Labrador, temperatures still well above where you should be sitting this time of year, between 22 and 25 through the weekend, with that shower activity returning by the time we get into Sunday, and a bit more unsettled earlier for Labrador, western Labrador. About 23 degrees on Saturday and 20 for your Sunday. Speaking of beautiful, look at this shot.
Oh, gorgeous.
This is sunset at the Point in Cox Cove. Lynette shared that great shot with us, and if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, just stunning. Another beauty. Thank you, Lynette.
Sunset, there's just something about sunsets and sunrises.
Oh, gorgeous.
Love 'em.
Yeah, keep them coming for sure. That's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good night.